There once were 3 cats, the chunkiest on the block: Barnaby, Penelope, and Gus. Barnaby, a clever orange tabby, led the crew with wild snack schemes and dreams of endless tuna. Penelope, the fluffy white princess, demanded only the finest, creamiest treats, often sneaking human food when she thought no one was looking. Gus, a simple grey cat with big eyes, loved eating anything and everything, happily finishing whatever the others left behind. Together they formed the Chunky Crew, united by their love of food and naps. Their days were a cycle of plotting, eating and sleeping, always on the hunt for their next meal. Barnaby drew up plans, Penelope sought delicacies, and Gus was the ever-hungry muscle. They were perfectly content in their chunky, food-filled world. But little did they know, their greatest challenge was just around the corner. The Chunky Crew's adventures were about to get a lot more complicated. Their appetites would soon be put to the ultimate test. Would their love of food get them into trouble, or would they find a new way to be happy? For now, they were the kings and queen of snacks, and nothing could stop them, except maybe their own bellies. The story of the Chunky Crew was just beginning, and it was about to get deliciously messy. One Tuesday, Barnaby revealed his most daring plan, the Great Tuna Heist. The humans had stashed a multi-pack of fancy tuna on the highest pantry shelf. Barnaby called his crew. Penelope would create a distraction. Gus would be the ladder, and Barnaby would climb to victory. Penelope knocked over a vase, sending the humans running. Gus braced himself as Barnaby scrambled up, wobbling but determined. With a final push, Barnaby toppled the tuna down, and the crew dragged it under the sofa for a feast. They devoured every can, but their hunger was never satisfied. The next day, they spotted a giant bag of new kibble by the back door. This time, teamwork. Barnaby gnawed, Penelope clawed, and Gus headbutted until kibble poured out. They ate straight from the pile, faces dusted with crumbs, bellies growing rounder by the minute. It was a crunchy, glorious victory until they realized they'd eaten way too much. Their feast had consequences none of them expected. The Chunky Crew had conquered the pantry, but their biggest challenge was yet to come. Would their love of food finally catch up with them? The answer was about to become painfully clear. For now, they basked in their triumph, unaware of the trouble ahead. The real adventure was just beginning. Trouble struck after the kibble caper. Penelope tried to nap in her favorite box, but her full belly left her wedged halfway in, looking like a fluffy cork. Barnaby attempted his usual sofa patrol, but his extra weight sent him tumbling between the cushions, legs flailing helplessly. Gus, too stuffed to move, sprawled on the rug like an overfilled beanbag, snoring and groaning. The Chunky Crew was immobilized, wedged, flipped, and flattened by their own gluttony. Their eyes met in a moment of shared misery. The thrill of feasting had faded, replaced by discomfort and embarrassment. They couldn't run, jump, or even nap properly. This wasn't the victory they'd imagined. Something had to change before they got stuck forever. Their food-filled adventures had finally caught up with them. The crew realized that too much of a good thing could be a real problem. They needed a new plan, one that didn't end with them trapped or toppled. The days of endless feasting were over. It was time for a change. But could the Chunky Crew resist temptation? Their next move would decide everything. The human rescued them. Penelope from her box, Barnaby from the cushions, and Gus with a gentle belly rub. The cats gathered, feeling relief and a hint of shame. Barnaby, ever the thinker, realized his clever plans had a flaw. Too much food led to disaster. Penelope, grooming her fur, saw that elegance meant knowing when to stop. Even Gus understood that being too full meant missing out on playtime and fun. They looked at each other, silent but united in their discomfort. Eating was supposed to be joyful, not miserable. The crew agreed, things had to change. Barnaby vowed to plan for fun, not just food. Penelope decided a true princess knows when to say no thank you. Gus wanted to chase sunbeams again, not just snacks. Together they realized happiness wasn't found at the bottom of a food bowl. It was time for a new approach. The Chunky Crew was ready to trade feasts for friendship. Their greatest adventure was about to begin. Not in the pantry, but in their hearts. Could they stick to their new resolve? Only time would tell. The next morning, Barnaby called a meeting not for a heist, but for a new way of life. No more stealing or overeating, they'd eat what was given, politely and together. Penelope suggested daily playtime, chasing the red dot and attacking the feathery wand. She even agreed to share treats split into perfect princess-sized portions. Gus proposed post-meal walks in the garden, chasing leaves and sniffing flowers. The crew embraced their new plan, trading food comas for fun and friendship. They became the healthy crew, still a little chunky, but happier and more energetic. No more getting stuck or flipped, just laughter, play, and the joy of being together. They learned that moderation brought more happiness than any stolen feast. The best treat was sharing life with friends. The Chunky Crew's days were now filled with play, not just snacks. They lived chunkily but healthily ever after. And their adventures were far from over. For the Chunky Crew, every day was a new chance to be happy. And that was the sweetest victory of all.